Private Lender Podcast, Episode 29.
The Private Lender Podcast quote of the day comes to us from Charlie Munger, who said, "It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid, instead of trying to be very intelligent."
This is the Private Lender Podcast, the show that shares practical advice and know-how for new and seasoned lenders, from private mortgages on single-family houses to joint ventures on commercial projects and beyond. Discover details about investment vehicles that you won't find at your local bank or online broker. Listen and learn from private lenders and real estate investors, as well as from professionals and entrepreneurs, as they share the details, strategies, and the insight that allows for successful and prosperous lending. Now, get ready to increase your ROI. Here's your host, Keith Baker.
Greetings, Lender Nation, and welcome to the Private Lender Podcast, the show dedicated to mitigating investment risks in the realm of private lending. My name is Keith Baker, and this is episode 29, and today I'll be speaking with Fabian Toledo, who shares his story of coming to the United States from Colombia, getting started in real estate investing, and the strategy that he used to land his first private lender. Not to mention, Fabian has started his own real estate investment association, or REIA, dedicated to teaching Spanish speakers about real estate investing. And if you are a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, then you'll definitely want to stay tuned and listen. Fabian is a perfect example of what I like to say is hustle like an immigrant, strive like you just arrived, or work like you just got here. But before we get to the interview and the heart of the show, let's first thank our sponsor.
The Private Lender Podcast is sponsored by
713 REIA invites you to come out and experience one of the fastest growing REIA groups in the greater Houston area. The goal of 713 REIA is to provide quality information to every level of investor. The organizers Landon, Rothstein, and Sasser have found that no matter where you are in the investing process, those investors who effectively network are far more successful than those who don't. And 713 REIA is geared to help you both get the information you need and provide the networking that will propel your investing. For more information, please visit 713REIA.com. That's 713REIA.com. All right. I'd like to thank 713 REIA for their sponsorship of the Private Lender Podcast, and I encourage everyone who's listening to come out to the next meeting to learn a wealth of knowledge. And you can say hello to yours truly at the Private Lender Podcast vendor table. But I also want to make sure that you don't forget, on August 25th and 26th, I'll be at the Quest IRA Self-Directed IRA Expo, the first of its kind in Dallas, Texas. Go Cowboys. Don't forget to use promo code BakerExpo for a 25% discount off your tickets. So you can go to the show notes page for the link to get those tickets. This is going to be privatelenderpodcast.com/PLP-029. And remember, you can also go to privatelenderpodcast.com/events for more details on these and other upcoming events. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight to the interview with Fabian Toledo. Fabian Toledo is a full-time real estate investor, wholesaler, and flipper in Houston, Texas. Fabian was formerly a quality control inspector for FEMA, in addition to being a licensed realtor for more than a decade. He is currently a stockholder of eXp Realty and founder of LatinosInRealEstate.com, an organization that teaches real estate investing in Spanish. Fabian's favorite investments are subject to deals, and his favorite sources of funding are self-directed IRA funds and private capital. It's the same here. So, Fabian, welcome to the show, and thanks for being on the Private Lender Podcast.
Hey, Kid. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited about it.
I'm love to have you on, and I'm going to bounce back and forth. First off, I know you're from Colombia, so let me go ahead and just wish you guys luck against Senegal in the World Cup. The game will have played long after this airs, but want to wish you guys luck. At least your country, your home country, is in the World Cup this year. So congratulations and best of luck there.
Thank you, sir. I think we're going to do just fine.
Good. So you are from Colombia, so let's go ahead and get the basic story out of the way. How did you come to the U.S., and then how did you get into real estate investing?
Well, I went to Mexico one time, and I met this coyote. I'm just kidding. I came in legally.
Careful, we're going to build a wall. Careful.
Let's keep that out of the way. I came here legally. I came here like about 14 years ago, initially just to study which I did. I went to University of Houston downtown. Then I decided to make this beautiful country my home, and had many jobs, like cooking at Sonic, valet parking, bellman, taxi driver, a few others that I don't want to mention. Just kidding. And then, and then I got interested in real estate. I was about, I don't know, like 18 years old when I bought my first house. But that house was my primary house. So I didn't know any better at that time, but luckily they were giving loans left and right, So I got a loan without much income or anything. So after I bought my house, I decided to take my real estate classes because I thought I didn't get a good deal. I thought maybe if I know a little more, then I will get a better deal next time. And I got my real estate license. I think I was still 18 or 19. I tried to be a real estate agent for a couple of years. I wasn't really successful at it since I was too young. Not many people wanted to buy a house with a 19, 20-year-old kid guy. So I decided to do it for myself at that point, and I bought my first investment house. I think I was 21, roughly, and it was like $11,000 house in Sunnyside. Beautiful neighborhood in Houston, at least for me, because cash is beautiful. So it took me like 2 years to fix it because the house was so much in disrepair. Like it was a turn down if I knew better at that point. But nonetheless, I did it in 2 years. I was doing it myself for the most part. The things that you don't need a license for on the weekends. So people were partying. I was fixing the house. So after a while, I realized that I was doing it the hard way, because I didn't get any education or I didn't know any friends who did real estate. So I decided to join the clubs, the real estate clubs like the Rich Club, and go to all the events and Quest events. And at that point, Rich Club was probably the only club really that I knew. So I don't know. You don't have any questions so far?
No. This is good. I mean, I always tell people, that the best way to learn any aspect of investing is to join your local REIA and start talking to people. And this is, through your story here, I love that you had enough hustle and gumption to go at it on your own. And then you realized, wait a minute, there's probably a smarter way to do this. Let me join the REIA and, learn. So I love this story so far. This is great. So don't take my silence as that I'm not interested. I'm over here giving you the thumbs up on this end of the phone. So
thank you. Yeah, I just feel a little lonely.
Please continue.
But so to continue the conversation, so I joined the clubs. I was able to learn, more strategies to buy quicker and cheaper and not using my own money. And now we go, to the topic of private money. I learned to use IRAs. I learned to use private money and hard money and student loan money, credit card money. I use all monies that I can have. I don't think it's limited to just one cash that I had it before, but it quickly went away because I fixed the property, and then I was, okay, now what? I need to save another 2 years for another house. So that didn't make any sense. So thankfully, I learned like other strategies like Subject 2 or learn to wholesale, and that, brought more income and made it easier to buy more properties without much money of my own.
So when I like the fact that you mentioned credit cards and student loans. That's as a source of cash for your investing. I think that's great. I did sort of the same thing, but I didn't buy property. But I took my first student loan and I spent 3 months in Europe backpacking around and bumming around, which was the greatest education I could have ever given myself. However, it took me about 9 years to pay that off. So where my ROI culturally was great, financially my ROI wasn't wasn't so good. But you mentioned you've handled a lot, or you utilize hard money, conventional private money. How were you introduced into the world of using other people's money, private money, and private lenders? How did you get into that?
Well, the first time was with jet lending, that the first time I used hard money. I had another property that I already paid for as well, besides the first one, and I got a really good deal that I needed to close like in 7 days, and I couldn't put that property as collateral because it had a title issue. So I had to put my other property that I had paid for and do like a cash out refi with that, and I was able to buy the other property using that money. And I had it for like 6 months, then maybe like 5 months. And I realized, after 6 months that you have to pay for an extension, stuff like that. So I said, well, now what? I don't want to keep doing hard money. So that pressure of needing the money for refinancing this loan made me go to Quest and go in front of the crowd after they do the presentation of any class that you can go in the front, and then the very first time I presented my deal, said, well, I need money to refinance this deal. A guy from Puerto Rico believed in me. I said, yeah, give me your phone number, and then he led me for that deal and for many others later on. And then he introduced me to his friends. They were all like all oil retirees, from I think Halliburton or other companies. So there's just people with some good IRAs and some good savings but they are probably just tired of working and they don't want to do much. They just want to be the lender and receiving the mailbox money, which I'm very happy about, because then I have the time and I have the energy to go and make the deals, and they have the goal. So we're a good match.
So I like that. So your very first time at Quest IRA, you walked up, presented your deal, and you found somebody to fund it for you. Your first time you ever went. Yes,
I'm still amazed about it. I say, wow, I'm just either too lucky or I don't know what else. But the very first time, and then another occasion, I went in front of the camera, the crowd again, and nobody lent me that moment. But later in the week, I got a phone call saying, "Oh, I saw you at Quest," because they do like they record the session and they put it online. And this guy saw me online and said, "Well, I already found the money, but let me keep your number, and the next time I have a deal, I'll call you." And sure enough, I called him maybe like 2 weeks later, and he lent me for another deal. So even if nobody sees you there, then so some of the time people may watch the video and say, "Okay, this guy looks like a legit guy. Let's just talk to him." And that happened.
Wow. So you've been using private money for quite some time now. I mean, you're younger than me, so to me, you're still a kid. But you've been investing for quite some time. I'm curious. What I like to ask people who utilize private money is, what is your attitude, or how do you take care of your private lenders? How do you make them feel secure? And like these gentlemen who heard your story, and if one, from Puerto Rico, I say, hey, here's a brother in arms that I can help him, he can help me. We can work this out. But how do you normally try to treat your private lenders and keep their money secure?
Well, for the Puerto Rican guy, that was his first time. Most of my lenders, the initial time is because of the first time. I have the patience to tell them, okay, this is what it is, and this is how is the process. I put everything in writing. You're going to be secure by the deed of trust, and we're going to draft the note, and the deed of trust is the one is recorded as the instrument you use to foreclose. If I don't pay you, I'm going to insure you with an insurance company as the lender, so you're going to get paid first if the property gets burned down or anything like that. Then I'm going to buy title insurance. I'm going to insure you as a lender. So again, you're going to get paid first. What else? I try to make it as easy as possible for them. because for me it was hard to understand at the beginning everything. But the good thing about it is like once I understand something, it's very easy for me to explain it to anybody because it took me a while to learn it. So especially all this terminology, it is a new language for anybody. Like for me, it's a third language for me because Spanish is my first
it's your
language.
third language. Yeah.
Yeah, English and then real estate. And that's why I have my organization, Latinos in Real Estate, where we teach people like myself real estate in Spanish because I want to make it easier for people to get into this business and not make it so difficult like it was for me.
And that's great because I've been watching you around town and seeing more and more as your group grows, and I like the fact that you're already giving back to the community and showing others, passing on the torch and showing others how to do things. So if you could walk us through one of your meetings. Obviously, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't go, but kind of walk us through what what your typical meeting is like, and if is there a focus on any particular type of investing, or is it does it change every month, your topics, or how does a typical meeting look? You
need to take a Spanish test before you can attend. Just kidding. Anybody is invited. Like you don't have to speak Spanish. I have maybe 15 to 20 people who always show, and they don't have a clue about Spanish, but they don't go for the class because the class is in Spanish, but the networking is in English or any language you want to speak. It's like I don't go to the events or just for the class. For me, the value is in the networking, and it's a different networking. It's a different crowd. So if you go to a lot of networking events, you're probably going to see the same people. In my events, you see 50% of the same people, and then the other 50% are fresh, new people that you need to contact them. There may be a lot of contractors, more people that are more realtors that are otherwise not in other events. So I highly suggest you to go. And the next event is on July 24. It's free. It's at 6:30 p.m. We have drinks. We have some light bites. Sometimes we have music. Sometimes we have dancing. So maybe that's another reason the other guys come. They want to meet the Latinos, or they want to meet the Latinos. Who knows? I don't know. So please come. Like, everybody's invited.
Well, if you're going to put people dancing out there, then yeah, I guess I'll have to stop by at some point and say hello. But real quick for everyone, you said July 24th. That's going to be for the year 2018. This episode will probably air just before that. However, I do want everyone to know that just because that date is going to be gone, come and go, that this will be evergreen. So you can go to, was it LatinosInRealEstate.com?
Correct, LatinosInRealEstate.com, and you'll find the latest event. Even if you don't plan to show up, just RSVP for it, and that way we can send you the reminders for the next meetings. This time is going to be a Talento Bilingüe de Houston, which is a local theater sponsored by the city, very close to downtown. It's in the east side of town, but it's like 2 minutes from downtown. Parking is free and it's very easy to park. It's a big place, so we won't have the issue of last time. It was a little crowded. Now we have a lot of space. So yeah. And
you have free parking near downtown. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, it is not downtown, but it's really close to downtown. So
it's close to yeah. It's anywhere down there. If you can find free parking, you're doing yourself a favor there. And you said light bites, and did you say drinks, as in alcoholic beverages? Alcohol,
yeah. We promote the first drink for everybody, and then there's a cash bar after that. So
excellent. Yeah. Okay. I've got a few. I want to get back into some of your strategies, but before I do, I want to talk about. I haven't had any realtors on the show yet, and so if you could, I've found there are two types of realtors. There are retail realtors that don't get it, and then there are realtors who are also investors, and they get both sides of the coin, and they play both sides. very well, and they disclose and they're very successful. So I'm curious, as an investor and a realtor, what type of what do you look for more? Do you look for retail sales and listings, and if they don't work out, you put your investor hat on, or do you go into it as an investor and then put your realtor hat on? Depending, how do you go into a typical?
Yeah, the second one, I go as an investor first, and I fully disclose that to the seller, and then later, if the seller doesn't want to give me the price I want to pay, then say, well, my last strategy or my last offer will be to be your realtor. And at that point, I will be working for you, and I will list it for this amount. Are you happy with that? I will charge, X percentage depending on the sale, and then sometimes that's the best route, and I don't mind listing the property. I'm with eXp Realty. If anyone is listening who is thinking about changing brokers, contact me. We're looking for more agents to join our team, eXp Realty. My phone number is 832-844-3000, 832-844-3000, or you can just check the website, latinosenrealestate.com or fabiantoledo.com.
Okay, and all this information will be on the show notes page. So if you're driving and you're trying to write this down, don't worry. Just go to privatelenderpodcast.com and you'll get all this information for Fabian and how to contact him, I should say. So when you said you started, did you buy your first investment property before you were a realtor, or was it the other way around?
Investment property after I became a realtor. My homestead property, like my first house, was before I was a realtor. A couple of months. Gotcha.
Yeah. But having that knowledge and going in, I would assume that would give you kind of an advantage going in. If you have the eye of a realtor going into investing, I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're going to be geared towards the disposition of that asset. Like if you're flipping, for example, then you're going to be, a realtor's probably more attuned to what's in the neighborhood, what people want, that kind of thing. That'll help you.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Move along. I'm wrong. Okay, perfect. Well, explain. Explain how.
Being a realtor, you only learn, how to fill up a contract and how to not get in trouble. That's it. You don't learn anything besides that. And when you're getting your license now, if you get additional classes or if you join other trainings, then that's where you learn a little more in as far as how to be a good marketing agent and all those things that requires you to be a top sales agent or to be an investor. This is two different things, being an agent and an investor. Like this, like so much different than it is. Most agents don't most agents don't get what we do. But that's slowly changing because, lately the real estate investing is getting so popular that now agents are learning. So I'm glad that that's happening. So that way we don't have to explain too much.
Yeah, I've sort of noticed that amongst my realtor friends that where some of them were 100% retail agents, didn't know anything about investing, and real estate investors were bad people. That was a bad word. You didn't mention it to them because all they want to do is cheat you out of money. And it's funny how I've seen now with the 80,000 TV shows that are out there and the interest that's picking up in real estate investing. Now all of a sudden they're softening their views on investors substantially. So it's
yeah,
and you having both hats, I like that you have both hats, and I'm glad that you corrected me because I didn't realize that you would have to kind of specialize or get the on-the-job training beyond the realty license initially. So
yeah, sometimes also the broker will help you a lot on becoming a good agent. That's why I like eXp so much, because they have a lot of good training online, and if you come with us and our team, then we will also give you our training for free. We provide, our training is in Spanish, at least on the Latinos and real estate side. So we provide like wholesaling classes in Spanish, and the next one is on August 18 and 19 for anyone interested to get involved in real estate investing. And you do speak Spanish, then come join us. LatinosRealestate.com/classes for more information on that. So, and I see maybe like 20 to 30% of the people who take our classes are realtors, and they are amazed of how much things they learn in our classes, because they don't learn that everywhere else, unless it's another investing company. But just realtor world, you won't get that kind of information.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to circle back to I said earlier, your strategy, the subject to strategy, and that when I was introduced to it, as a realtor friend of mine said, that's illegal, you can't do it. So obviously that's not the case. So could you walk us through what a subject to deal is and the mechanics of it and how it works?
Yes, it's for me is the best strategy to buy a house when you don't have a lot of money. Even if you have a lot of money, it's still the best strategy, because you're not putting your credit. You're basically taking over someone else's mortgage. So you're stepping into the shoes of the seller and say, seller, I'm going to keep the payments with Chase for the remaining of the life of the loan, or for X amount of years, or while I fix it and then sell it, depending on what's your extra strategy. And then the deed of the property will transfer to my name or to my company's name, and the mortgage will stay or remains with the sellers. So if I don't pay the property, then they will get a foreclosure. But I will pay the property, because otherwise I wouldn't incur costs of closing costs. Sometimes I have to pay some back payments. I give them a little money for them to move out, and so it's roughly like $5,000 to $10,000 that I spend buying a subject to. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but I wouldn't spend the money and then don't pay the mortgage. So that's how I explain it to them, and then I get the login of the bank if they have it, like with Chase. Then I will keep everything straight there, and they can keep and I own it too. Like they can keep the login as well and see, okay, Fabian is making the payment. Then I'm happy with it.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good explanation of the subject to. I'm curious, because have you ever had a bank call a loan due, a subject to deal due?
Never, and I haven't heard of any of my friends with like telling me, oh, my loan was just called due. And no, because you're referring to the due on sell close, that like 99% of the loans have it, which means that if you sell a house, you're supposed to pay your mortgage. Otherwise, the bank has the right to call the loan due unpayable. But they don't care, because as long as you pay the property, as long as you the loan, as long as you insure the property correctly, you have to insure the bank as the lost payee. You have to insure the last owner on deed, which is the same one on the loan, to make them feel like they still own it. And of course, I will insure myself as well. So that's one of the most important pieces there, the insurance. As long as you have the insurance correctly and you pay your loan on time, and you disclose everything about the due on sale and the risk and that the property is going to remain on their credit, as long as you let them know that in 5 different ways, then you're covered for the most part.
Yeah, I've found opponents of this idea of subject to don't like it, because the bank can call it due or this and that, and it's going to ruin these people's credit. And I was like, look, their credit's going to be ruined with a foreclosure anyway. All the investors is doing is stepping in, bringing that loan current, and giving that person, like you said, some money to move, or whatever problem or situation they're in. The investor usually gives cash money to that owner. Then, like you said, you step in the shoes. And the only time I've never talked to somebody who it's been called, the due on sale clause has been called, but I understand it was called because there was a mess up with the property insurance, and the bank felt like their collateral wasn't being protected, so they called the note due. And that's the only time I've ever heard of it. I hear it can be done, but like you said, disclose it 5 times to the seller, and make them fully aware. And, that's just good business. And that seller gets to keep their credit for a little while. The investor gets a property and somebody, and gets either a tenant or they go on and sell it, or, they improve the house and move on. So I like the strategy as well.
Yeah, and even if the bank calls the loan due, it will take a while. Like, they will send a letter first, and it's going to take like 6 months before you have to really sell it. So you have 6 months to sell it, and hopefully you did a good job in fixing the property. So you can just sell it outright or get another loan to pay for that. But I think it's a very manageable risk. In fact, it's not even a risk for me. Like, I will get the money somewhere else to pay for that or sell the house, and that's fine. I still enjoyed the loan for a little bit. I saved the money of loan applications, points, and all that stuff. So I'm okay with that possibility. And if you want to further protect that, like, you can buy the property in a trust, and when you buy it in a trust, nobody knows who's the owner of the property. You can name the trust after the name of the seller. So John Smith Trust. And if the borrower is John Smith Trust, and you see that on the record, say, okay, it must be him. And it's really hard for them to know who is behind the trust or who is the beneficiary of that trust. So it's hardly impossible for them to know.
Yeah, and I don't want to turn this into a subject to lecture, but yeah, that there are cases where banks cannot call it due. If you're doing it for asset protection and the borrower puts the house into a trust, that does not trigger the due on sale clause. And I can't remember if that was a court case or if it was a law. But
I know what you're talking about.
But I haven't done a whole lot. Tried to do some subject to, but it hasn't worked out for me. But I know a lot of people who have.
Because a lot of people transfer their property into a living trust for like to avoid probate and stuff like that. So the court case just said, okay, you're allowed to do that, and the bank cannot use that due on sale on that. So they will have to prove me that my trust is not a living trust and who is behind the trust. I mean, it's just a hassle for them to do it anyway. So they won't do it.
And as long as the payments are being made every month, most banks don't care. They just want to see that money coming in. So I got it there. So back to your Latinos in real estate. I'm unfortunately going to be at a podcast conference at the end of July. So, but when was the August meeting? Was he said the 18th or 19th, or was that your class?
That's a class, a 2-day class. August 18 and 19, we did at the Quest office. It's really close to I-10 and Barker Cypress. The next networking will be in August 20-something. I'll get you the day later.
Okay, well, I will be that one, and I'll have my English and Spanish dictionary ready to go for the class.
Well,
you're absolutely right.
Google Translate.
Yeah, right. If I could only do it in real time, I'd be perfect and fit right in. But you touched on something earlier that the networking is, whether it's in Spanish or English, that's worth going to in and of itself, to any networking group or meetup or event. Your net worth is your network. So and you've given us proof positive that going up and talking to people in front of people, saying, hey, look, this is the deal I have. You got funded, and you got somebody else to fund your next deal. And that's the beauty of real estate investing and private lending. And, it's what I enjoy about it. It's a very social aspect. And, you never know when you're going to end up at a salad restaurant with somebody talking real estate, like you and I have done. So I really enjoy it, and then obviously doing the podcast. But I'm curious, do you do any private lending yourself?
I don't. I do owner finance, but that's not really like private lending. I don't know. I don't have enough money to do private lending, and I do have enough deals to funnel my money to my own deals. So I don't find that appealing at this moment. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in 5 years when my bank account gets a little bigger, then I'll contemplate the idea of being a private lender. However, when people approach me, I know who to contact, so I can either make the deal happen or be involved in somehow, helping somehow, and making money somehow. So I don't say no. It doesn't have to be my money.
There you go. Hey, that's the beauty. Again, back to the network. Somebody has a need. You know somebody with a solution. You bring, just because it's not your funds, but you're still putting a private lender with a borrower together, and it's a beautiful thing. And I can't wait for someday where banks are just going to be all there are going to be computers. That's it. They're just people's paychecks are going to go in and bills are paid out. That's it. All loans will be done on a peer to peer kind of basis, like we do here with private lending. So I think hopefully that's kind of where it would behoove my podcast if that happens. So obviously I'm a big fan of it, but I do like that social aspect. And just because you don't have a whole lot of money in your account doesn't mean you can't be a private lender. We need to talk offline, because I have loans as small as $5,000, and you can still get a pretty decent interest rate on your money if you're interested. If you're interested,
that's true. No, I am, because sometimes I don't want to do my own IRAs just to keep it a little separate from me. So I'm about to sell one of my properties that I own in my IRA, so I will get that money back to my IRA, and sometimes I can find something to invest right away. So that means the profit money is basically losing value there at Quest, because it's collecting fees. So I see so many people a little like greedy. They say, okay, I need this much, and if I don't lend it at this much, then they stay a whole year with the money there collecting fees, not making any money. So sometimes it's better to lend in a lower rate and consistent, the whole year, and then you don't have to worry about
it. And that's why I like owner finance deals to finance owner finance deals for other people. That's how I met my partner. He wanted to owner finance a house. He needed a little bit of money to buy it, and he financed it for 3 years. I took a smaller interest rate, which at first I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to take 8-9%. But then I thought about it for a second. I was like, if I get 12% on a flip, but I have to wait 6 months, if I loan for 6 months and have to wait 6 months, then my 12% is now dropped down to 6%. And I don't have to work my money to get this 8 or 9% for 3 years. And it's a small amount of money. Why not? It's like you said, it's mailbox money at that point. And I had to work it up front. I had a couple of hours of work and due diligence up front to vet the deal, to underwrite the loan. After I decide to make the loan, it's pretty simple. Get the documents drafted with the lawyer. Make sure that the IRA, in this case, Quest, wires the money to the title agent for closing. And then once a month, I check to make sure that the payments have been made. And if they have, great. If not, well, then kick out a nice little letter to tell them, hey, don't forget your payment's due. And that's it. And if you get involved with good investors, it's not even that much work. So anyway, I highly recommend you get the private lending with your IRA. If you don't purchase another property inside of it.
Yes, I'm definitely interested. I think it can grow maybe even faster, because it can maybe do maybe I can do owner finance and then sell the notes later, right? So, and then rinse and repeat.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's two things. You can purchase the properties or owner finance them with your own IRA and then sell the note to somebody else, a note buyer, or you can even sell part of the note. You don't have to sell the whole thing, but say maybe 20 or 50 payments out of it. And I've heard this is the most lucrative way if you don't have a whole lot of money, this isn't so much private lending, but if you have an IRA and if you wholesale out of your IRA, that's probably the fastest way you can build your IRA's account value. If you put let's say, for example, if you get a house under contract and you put $1,000 down to the seller as earnest money, but your assignment fee for that house is $10,000, you just added $9,000 to your IRA account in just a matter of weeks. If you do that a couple of times a month, then next thing you know, you're going to be upset because you're not 59 and a half and you can't retire yet, and you got all this money sitting in retirement accounts.
Unless you have an inherited IRA.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I don't know a whole lot about, but I hear that is definitely the way to go if you can inherit an IRA.
Talk to me and I'll help you out.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, I'll tell you, that's a great segue. Give us your contact information again, your phone number and your websites.
My cell phone number is 832-844-3000. 832-844-3000. My email is Fabian@FabianToledo.com, like Toledo, Ohio. TOLEDO. LatinosInRealEstate.com. Facebook, you can find me on Facebook, FabianToledo.com or LatinosInRealEstate.com as well. So like us on Facebook, send me a message.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll do. And I do like following you. You go live periodically. So I do try to catch if I'm able, try to catch it out. So, well, cool. Well, Fabian, I appreciate you coming on the show today and giving us some knowledge and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'd like everyone to go to privatelenderpodcast.com and get all the Fabian's contact information, his phone number, his websites, and his email. And highly recommend everyone check out Latinos in Real Estate. Unfortunately, I won't be there in July, but I will go in August. So if anybody out there listening has a bone to pick with me, come see me at Latinos in Real Estate, and we'll talk about it. And that way you get two more people to come to the awesome. Meeting. So excellent. Well, Fabian, again, thanks. I want to wish you all the best in your investing, and hopefully you start doing some private lending here soon. And I'd like to catch up with you in maybe 6 or 9 months and see how things are going. Have you back on the show.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for the invitation. Talk to you later.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed the interview with Fabian Toledo. I've been wanting to get him on the podcast for some time. I love his story of coming here to the United States. English is his second language. Real estate in English is his third language, as he said. And I just like that he's a hustler. And if anyone follows me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll notice every now and again I'll put up a post that says something like "Strive like you just arrived," "Hustle like an immigrant." That's one of my favorite slogans. I don't care where you're born, who you are. Adversity is your advantage. Just remember that. I don't care if it's with lending, private lending, real estate investing, school, college, work. Embrace your adversity and turn it into your advantage. Please go to theprivatelenderpodcast.com for more information. You can check out the show notes, get more information on Fabian, how to connect with him at FabianToledo.com or LatinosInRealEstate.com. You can also catch him on Facebook and Instagram and learn a lot more, get a lot more information from the show notes. Again, I want to thank you for listening and sharing your time and your ear with me today. I do greatly appreciate it. The numbers of this podcast are slowly growing. And for those of you that I've just received as listeners, I want to thank you. But those who have been with me since the start or shortly thereafter, I want to thank you as well. And I want to thank everyone who's commented, sent me kind words, constructive criticism or suggestions via Facebook, via Instagram, or the website, privatelenderpodcast.com. Well, that's going to do it for this episode 29. I just want to wish everyone out there happy and prosperous investing, but more importantly, happy and prosperous private lending. I'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Private Lender Podcast with your host, Keith Baker. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit privatelenderpodcast.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review, and we'll catch you next time.
And the only thing else I got to say is,